Oh my gosh.
Woo!
We are super excited to have someone that I know pretty well. I mean, I worked with for a while. I can't believe I actually asked him to come on the show. And
he can't either.
We get desperate for guests sometimes. So we're thrilled.
Gosh.
We're thrilled to
No.
have him. So I'd like to introduce Bill Bailey, Head of Sports and Entertainment at Satisfi Labs. Bill Bailey, welcome.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Great to see you both.
Oh, it's good to see your face.
That sounds like a very, very sexy title.
Yeah.
And I would love to know a little bit more about your background and then how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. Background, I'll go brief because it's kind of long and sordid. Was in the food business for a long time in California. I was a stripper at Shippin'. No, I was not. I was in the food business for a long time in California. A dear friend of mine went into the sports business and ran an NBA team, and he brought me into sports. So I worked for the NBA for a long time. From there, went to work for the owner of that team as he retired to Franklin, Tennessee, and ran his family office, which was an interesting experience, really fun. And then some friends of mine had a startup in Nashville and Denver called SSB. And went to work when they had 2 sports clients and thought maybe sports could be a vertical that they could focus on with their data platform and consulting business. We grew it to 180 sports teams and sold that off. And now this is my second kind of tech company focused on sports entertainment. We're a little bit bigger. We're now medium size, I guess you'd call it, if you can define it that way. But we focus on sports entertainment, most of our business, which I run. And then there's another piece of our business, which is more focused on hospitality and tourism, which is really important for our growth. So we hold that separate and give them all the resources, and I get nothing.
So are you doing this? Are you doing the same thing where you are now that you did at SSB? Is it data and analytics and
describe a little more about.
Tell us a little bit more about
Satisfi Labs.
Yeah.
Would love to. Satisfi Labs is, and because of the boom in AI, right now we're kind of a household name in sports entertainment. We're blessed. We have about 70% market share. We've been doing this for 9 years before there was such a thing as ChatGPT, and now we incorporate things like that. But we are a conversational experience platform. So we deploy kind of chatbot technology out in different parts of the organization, different channels, whether it be web, app, Facebook, WhatsApp, wherever. And we empower a conversation between a fan and a brand. Full stop. If a brand wants to talk to, if you want to talk to the Denver Broncos where you are, who's a client of ours, and you want to talk about how to buy tickets, but also where to park and can I bring outside food or gluten-free options I can eat, whatever it may be, that conversation is we're helping you have that, right? Which then unlocks revenue and a better guest experience. And we use AI to do it, right? So that humans don't have to do it.
That's very cool. Yeah. I love that.
And I'm just curious, what technology are you using in the background? Are you using ChatGPT? Are you using a proprietary?
We weren't. We're using all of our proprietary stuff. And when that came about, we incorporated it, but we do it very safely, right? You can ask ChatGPT who the president is, and it still says Joe Biden. Right. It will make stuff up. So we have a lot of guardrails put around us. We use the power of those models to ingest information from our clients, to create an answer from that information, but we do not use its knowledge per se. We use the knowledge that the client gives us. So we put a lot of guardrails around it, which is why, NFL and people like that use us. They're very protective of their brand. They can't have their brand be embarrassed.
I see. So you're educating the large language model with the data that you have that's been given to you by the brand or the sports team or the league in this case, and ingesting that into the model so that it can respond appropriately for the questions
and keep the brand consistent.
And keep the brand clean. The bot will not know anything that the brand doesn't want it to answer. You can think of and talking about concussions or something like that, where that's not what you're here to talk about. I don't want to talk about that, right? Again, who the president is, right? A sports team doesn't want to engage in conversations about who the president is or is he a good president or not. They'd rather that not be part of their brand. So
that's so interesting. What a unique and whole new frontier for engaging with fans. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty spectacular. Yeah. What do you love most about the work that you do?
That it is cutting edge technology. I'm able to be in the space that I love, using the relationships I've built over 20 plus years, because I'm only 30, and we use those and bring them new things. Right. The thing I think I'm very good at. Bruce may disagree from our past, but
Uh-oh.
I think I'm very good at taking complex things and making them, explaining it to everybody, making sure it's understandable, articulate.
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it, but I don't seem like I'm bragging. It's just that's what I do. I kind of take complex things and bring it to everybody. So
Love that.
I would argue, Bill, that is one of your talents. I think one of your even better than that is your ability to get a business relationship going. I have never seen anyone in my career be able to really develop a deep, meaningful, important relationship with your clients. I'm curious to know what you think your secret sauce is when you're out there all the time, right? You have to meet new people all the time. You're clearly an extrovert. What's the secret?
I wish I knew, because I would be able to bottle it, and help the people on my team. Right. I think the secret is that I truly care. I'm truly interested in different business models, and so when I say how does your business really operate? What's really keeps you up at night? I actually care. I wait for the answer. I'm not using that as a way to then squeeze my pitch in. Right. And I think you have to develop some sort of transparent credibility with somebody. So you have the relationship. You can do it quickly, great. Yeah, I mean, and then there's got to be some pheromone thing, because if I'm the person on the airplane that if I don't put headphones in, then the person next to me is telling me about their divorce, right? So
yeah, I don't want to hear about your pheromones. I got to admit, if you're talking to me about your pheromones, I'm a little disturbed.
I think this is the wrong show.
Yeah.
Pheromones.
Yeah, the pheromone podcast.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
Well,
it's like a scratch and
I get out of my head. I was just about to say it, and then I stopped myself because I realized
I don't.
It didn't need to go there. And
go.
Meanwhile, the line, Bruce.
One of you has a filter, and we know which one.
That's right.
Yeah, well done you for picking up on that.
I want to take you back to those early food. You mentioned that you were in kind of the food business. I'm curious to know how that experience, kind of what you did back then, and how that experience transformed you into the leader you are today. Because that's a very big change from that into professional sports, into a family business, but still in professional sports, and then on to SSB and beyond.
Yes. In the food business, I was pure analytics, right? I was all about, it was my job to manage margins for a $3 billion company and talk about pricing and use analytics to tell stories. And so that's what I still do, right? I still tell stories. I was good at that job because I was good at telling stories, and I made sure I could take the data and analyze it to prove my story or back up my story. But I was always about telling the stories, which when I meet new analysts in my life, I usually talk to them a lot about, I know you're going to learn how to be a good analyst, work on being a good storyteller with it, or it means nothing, right? So that's what I did. And then, and then was brought into this world by a very smart leader into the sports world to say that's what sales is telling stories with good data to back it up. And if you can make those quick relationships, which I have seen you do, let's do that. You can lead people to watch you do it, learn from you, and do it like that. So it was that person's perspective, which was unique and correct, that sales is really should be analytical in how it's done.
Absolutely.
Not just smiling and dialing.
Right, exactly. I love that you talked about it from the storytelling perspective. That's probably why when you talk about a skill that you excel at, it is that ability to bridge the gap between the super technical or the data itself and then the masses, right? Who need to understand, like, what does this all mean for our business? And from my perspective, as someone who's not particularly technical, I think that the ability to tell a story, the ability to extrapolate data and use it to help folks understand a I guess, a place in time, right? A moment in time, or how that impacts the future for their business is everything. We have a client that we've been working with. They're super technical engineers, and same kind of thing. We're helping them to kind of clip their message, right? Like, you don't need to give everything. I don't need to understand every single bit of data. How can you tell me this in a couple of sentences? And then how can you bring my attention to the things that matter? Like, what's the impact, and what do you propose? And is there a problem? Otherwise, I don't care. And some people do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How
I think it's super fascinating because it leads me to something I think about a lot these days, which is storytelling has to keep evolving and changing, right? As different, these devices in our hands are, destroying our youth and all those sort of things. People just absorb information in different ways, right? So I notice even at my advanced age and even with my staff, I have to constantly say, I don't understand why you're not getting it. I told you the story. I told you the story twice. How come you're not getting it? And okay, wait, hold on. Let me draw the story. I remember when Bruce and I spent a lot of time together in our past life, I was in front of a whiteboard constantly because that was the way to tell the story, was as I was drawing and telling it to you. And I think that captures the verbal learner and the visual learner. And I think in this day and age, when we're doing on Zoom, I haven't found the right tool to do that yet. So it's more difficult to tell stories on Zoom because I can't. You see me waving my arms because that's what I want to do. I want to get up and I want to draw it for you and talk you through it, and I get that interaction that way. And I'm having to evolve as we speak. And writing things.
As far as I'm concerned, you have permission to do an interpretive dance of the story. I'm happy with that. Bill, how do you navigate the fact that people do consume data and stories, if you will, in so many different ways? Like you just mentioned it. We know the up and coming generations, they consume through video. They consume very much visually, and even orally, AURAL.
Yes.
And then there's other people who really have to read it, highlight it, do all of that. They're definitely older. So what is do you have a shortcut or a way that you kind of quickly assimilate how someone would like? Is it questions they ask or how they want to receive data? How do you do that?
Yeah, good point. One, I give it in several formats, right? I think the advent of when my wife and I watch TV, right? We put the subtitles on, even though we can both hear it fine. It's nice to kind of be able to, maybe your mind went away for a second and you were reading for a second, then you were listening, but I got it, right? So giving people information in multiple ways simultaneously, me learning how to go back to putting a PowerPoint slide in front of them while I'm telling my great story, as much as that's great.
Yes.
That's hard for me because they get cheated by this. They can't see this face, but I'll give them the PowerPoint slide instead. And then asking questions more, right? I could talk for 25 minutes straight, and that's a mistake because then you're not getting any kind of interaction from that. You're not getting any, are you understanding that? So without seeming salesy and without, asking front-loaded questions, really stopping once in a while and figuring out ways to engage them. Does that make sense? Or I do a lot of repeating. I do a lot of, I'm going to tell them tell them what you told them, tell them and tell them what you told them, tell them what you're going to tell them and tell them what you told them. Yep. So I do that a lot where, hey, there's 3 things I'm going to cover today. Here's one. Before I get to the second one, remember the first one was, and the second one relates to that. And the third one is the one. So you do a lot of like repetition, a lot of kind of showing it. I think there is some good tools on Zoom where you can have a Zoom and there's some notes on the side. I think you just have to give it in multiple ways, I think.
Yeah. I think you're right. We haven't solved the problem. Maybe when we move to, VR headsets and 3D modeling and, everybody looks like they're in the room so you can see the body language that's going along, because we miss we miss so much when we're going through that. I'm going to give you a chance to brag a little bit, Bill. I would love to hear about some of the really interesting kind of one of your favorites that you with Satisfi Labs have helped one of your clients solve, and why that one means so much to you. So just give me a sense of like, hey, all right, there was this really cool problem and here's what we did.
I love that.
I don't know how sexy the problem is because it's a standard
you don't know that.
It's a kind of a call center situation for a very large ticketing company, globally, different offices. And I really have enjoyed the fact that we can step in front of a system they had, which was very much tickets. And I'll get back to you with your question when I get you next on the queue. Put AI in front of it, and literally have 1 million conversations a year with their fans, and be tackling 85+% of the things that would have become a ticket, and now it's not. And what's nice is not just saving them money. That fan got that answer right then, about what they were looking for. They were trying to buy a ticket. They were trying to find their ticket. They were wondering something, and they could get an instant answer. And that's really, really something that we love, right? Because we've been doing this for 9 years, and 63% of the conversations we get in our bots are after hours. Because that's when you're planning your day at the ballpark or at the concert. It's around the dinner table, and little Joey says, "Can I bring my mitt?" And you say, "I don't know. And I can't call somebody because it's 7:00 at night." Yes, you can. You can ask us right here. Right. So we love that. That's the story. Those kind of stories I love.
Yeah,
I love that too, because I will tell you, I am the person who really, even though I'm an extrovert, I really appreciate the bots that I can have a dialogue with immediately and solve problems with. And when they're really good, they're really good.
Right.
And that is the preferred way that I like to work. So I can very much appreciate that.
I think it's a good point. And we also, our platform is we're very proud of the fact that we have live escalation. So that if we know when we can't answer something, and we will get out of the way, or if they want to spend $100,000 on a suite for the Denver Broncos, I'm going to go get them a sales rep. I'm not going to take a message and it'll ping that rep and say, "Someone's waiting for you on the phone." It isn't about gluten-free hot dogs. It's about buying a suite, right? I took care of all that other stuff, but I'm going to get out of the way and get them to a live rep. And it's about something important.
Love that.
Where do you see the future of this going? I mean, Satisfi Labs being a leader for a while in AI, and you've been there, boy, Bill, I want to say you've been there 5 or 6 years now. Yeah. Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Where do you see it going? For us as small business owners, right? We're using AI every day now. I mean, we use it every single day to help automate and, do those tasks that we can't, that we can automate. Where do you see it as a company, and where do you see yourself? What's kind of the approach for the next, we'll call it 3 years.
Crystal ball this.
Since it's going so fast.
Yeah. There's a lot of that crystal ball going on right now. So I will give you some of the things I see, and I will not claim that have the best crystal ball, because there's some people a lot smarter than me in this space at my company. We are leaning into the fact that this isn't going anywhere. So if you talk about the kind of AI we're in, it's obviously not going anywhere. It's going to keep evolving. What's going to happen is more people are going to want to take their data, hold it private, have companies like us put a layer on top to AIify it, get it ready for AI, so that lots of AI can come see it and touch it, but leave it alone. Right. And it's easier to come grab it. So there's a whole new wave of AI where it's putting it in the hands of large organizations without them. You don't have to use one of these public models that can be a little scary and have their own issues. Maybe they're going to want to control that themselves. There's also a lot more, what'll turn into agent to agent, where one agent is talking and it can hand it off to a whole different agent, right? Not feel like I have to do everything. I know enough to know I can't do that. I'm going to go get that agent that maybe isn't even my company, it's someone else's. So that's where it's kind of headed for sure. And then obviously the agentic, you hear the word agentic AI coming, and that is what we do, only a little more proactive. Hey, Bruce, it's Gail's birthday next Friday. I booked a reservation for you for her favorite restaurant. Flowers are being delivered. Just say no to any of this if you want, but you don't have to say yes, right? I'm just going to take care of this for you. It's creepy, kind of, right? Can be.
It is creepy. It's full on creepy.
We're actually looking at a company called Cintra.ai, and it's very agentic. It's got, how many different 12 different
agents.
personas. and one is business development, one is marketing, and one is a
SEO,
virtual assistant, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So fascinating. So as we're coming to a close in our interview with you, one of the questions that we always ask the leaders that we bring on is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? And then we really like to know why you were given it, or why you think you were given that advice at that time.
I was probably given it because I was at a point that I was maybe trying to micromanage a bit, or maybe trying to not delegate as much, which can be hard for any leader as they evolve. It came from my boss and dear friend. I'll quote him, Hugh Weber. He's the one that got me into this sports business in the first place. And I maybe he created it, maybe he stole it from someone else, like we all do. But he said, as a good leader, all you can do is give context and remove obstacles. And those are two very important things. If you keep focused on the fact that I hired really good people, just keep them pointing in the right direction with the right context of why they're doing what they're doing, and get shit out of their way. That's all you can really do. And you've been a really, really, really effective leader at that point.
I love that.
That's great.
I love that. There's a kind of a visual that I put with that's very common in the kind of business coaching world. And it's this idea that you're holding a lantern kind of in the dark cave with them to kind of show them the way, and also not doing it for them. Right. So taking care of what you can, if there's a rock or whatever, letting them know that it's there. I think that's brilliant, Bill. And I love kind of the vulnerability that you showed too, just by saying, here's why I think I got that advice at the time. And all leaders are on a constant journey to better themselves. And so just having that awareness of, wow, I need to step back. I need to trust that the team around me knows what they're doing. And if they don't, they'll let me know, and I'll help in that way. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Well, Bill Bailey,
head
of sports and entertainment at Satisfi Labs. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're
as
amazing.
Always chatting with you.
It's been great talking to you both.
Please go more. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
You too. Good to see you both.